Hey guys, this is Justin Ford, one of the co-founders of Life Within, UAE's very first company to bring you functional mushrooms that have been lab tested, certified by the Dubai municipality. And today we have a very special guest, Cullen Clark. We are very excited to introduce you, Cullen, to our podcast today. Just introducing yourself would be fantastic, and then also letting us know about your mycological journey and just you being involved with functional mushrooms.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Very excited to be here. It's been a long time in the making. And yeah, I think the best place to maybe start is to just give everyone an overview of my interests. So I'm an ethnomycologist and an entrepreneur. I love, absolutely adore mushrooms, as we'll find out in this podcast. But I also love business, and because of the merging of the two, myself and my business partner started a company 7 years ago called Aether Apothecary, and we are the largest functional mushroom and herbal plant supplier in South Africa. We make the most amazing extracts that we supply to doctors and pharmacies and health stores all around the country. And now, because of Life Within, we also are international. We supply through you guys and your wonderful products into Dubai and hopefully the larger region soon to come. So yeah, long story short, I love mushrooms. I love getting them to people and making sure that people get the best quality product that they can so that they can upregulate their own lives and make their lives a little bit better. That's a quick synopsis of my doings in the mushroom world.
Thanks, Cullen. Much appreciated. It's really good to understand and to obviously get the feeling of your love for the mushrooms and the passion. I know that through my journey, starting off just with that single bottle of the lion's mane mushroom that I had actually procured from South Africa, that was the start of my journey. And keeping it to the right of my desk, knowing that I was manifesting that one day I would connect with the people from Aether Apothecary. We ended up connecting one day for a coffee in a little area in East London. It was fantastic. We were at the golf course, observing the beauty. I think we chatted for about 2 hours. We didn't even talk business. We just knew that we were going to connect and do something phenomenal together that day.
It was good. I think we just got to know each other more on a deeper level. Business didn't come into it once. It was more just about our understanding of the world and of mushrooms and how we can help people. I think that's the thing that I got a lot from you, was just how much you wanted to help and how much you wanted to make a change. And the fact that you've done that, obviously with Jenna, and you guys are actively changing the paradigm in Dubai is just phenomenal. And how quickly you've done it, it's exceptional. So you guys deserve a round of applause as well.
Thanks, Cullen. Yeah, I think it's good to obviously mention, obviously, from the company background, we wanted to obviously bring a bit of a wellness aspect. My co-founder Jenna also working in corporates, understanding that we've both been at the corporate end, understanding what it is like to be in a toxic work environment, working incredibly long hours, and just understanding that we needed to bring that balance. And there are a lot of alternative modalities, a lot of people providing herbal solutions, but we wanted to have an all-encompassing uh, company that essentially focused on health, wellness, and providing a holistic perspective. And it is important for us to connect with people that understood the products, we gave reverence to the source of the products, and making sure that we connected with ethical suppliers as well, focusing mostly on companies that are focusing on plant-based solutions, and then also focusing on quality ingredients. And that was for us the most important thing. So when we connected with Aether, connecting with the founders, connecting with the people behind the company as well, I just believe that Aether had the right mix. So now, having said that, obviously we've got Life Within in the UAE. We're obviously providing the functional mushrooms. But one thing I wanted to understand is when you work with the community and providing the community in South Africa, providing the ingredients, as well as looking at the specific mushrooms that you work with, tell us a bit more about how Aether provides Life Within with products and how it benefits the community.
Of course, yeah. So it's there's a number of different cogs that are turning in that process, but I'll break it down from farm to pharmacy. So we've always been adamant about where we're sourcing product from. That's been at the start of our journey. We wanted to try and keep things as local as possible, and for the most part, we've gotten that right. now 7 years later, with our company establishing itself, we are at a precipice where we can actually make that even more of a reality. So that includes growing our own things or harvesting them from the forests, or partnering up with community members to grow different plants and mushrooms that we then use to make medicines out of. So if we just take the mushrooms, for instance, that Life Within is becoming popular for, the reishi, for instance, we harvest that with local communities in the Eastern Cape. It comes straight from the forest. It goes through a whole certification process to make sure that it's safe and it has no heavy metals or pesticides or contaminants. We then take that and then we use that raw material. It goes through a full extraction process, a processing process, with local labor, local women from the villages. We employ only from the neighboring villages so that we can supply jobs and we can help people in the community. They then extract the medicines. They go through a very rigorous process. It gets bottled, it gets packaged, and it gets sent straight to Dubai. So the product is local. It's probably the most local product on the market if we're talking about South Africa. And the intention is that a lot of these different mushrooms will eventually become fully local. There are a few, however, that can't, like chaga, for instance, need the icy cold, frigid regions of Siberia or North America to grow. So we can't grow them here, unfortunately. And that will just be the way that it is. But things like lion's mane and cordyceps and turkey tail, all of these are in the process of becoming fully localized. Our lion's mane that we are using will be an indigenous species called Hericiumophilia. And yeah, that's the intention. That's where we're gearing towards. And that's what we want from Life Within as well, to be using locally sourced products that are made by low income earning communities, and then getting shipped out so that everyone can have a little piece of the pie.
Sounds good. It's really good to obviously know that Life Within products are actually also benefiting the local communities, providing them with the ability to kind of give back to the community, be able to help people put their children through schools, and also just put food on the table. It's much bigger than just providing products to the UAE.
Well,
There's a larger supply chain that we're actually benefiting.
Well, just to give you some examples, we have a project called the Abbey Project that is putting students through school, and that's in part through Life Within and through some of the other organizations that we work with. And some of the other projects are focused on planting community gardens where they only grow these medicinal plants for extraction. So it provides jobs for community members when they can't get jobs otherwise, or when the produce that they would be growing, vegetables and the fruits, are lost because of storms or issues around drought. These hardy, robust medicinal plants can weather the storm, and they can then be extracted and made into medicine. So even when other things can't supply them with capital, these medicinal plants and mushrooms can. So that's the intention. That's what we're doing at the moment.
Beautiful. Thanks. Really good to obviously hear the rest of the projects that are obviously going to start as well in 2024. And nice to know that as we scale as a business and reach more people in the UAE, so that benefits a lot more people down the stream with the community. So thank you for sharing that. I think one thing I want to chat about is in terms of the process that we've gone through as a company in the UAE and maybe getting the UAE approval. So, what does it actually mean to you and I working together as a partnership? I think this is something that we now are looking through introspectively to say, the products that were lab tested, and as well as giving the functional mushrooms the ability to be approved, to get the Dubai municipality approval to actually have people in the UAE consuming something that they know they can trust, that's gone through a UAE lab. And what does that make you feel as a founder who provided that, essentially knowing that your product is, you knew deep down it was a good product, but knowing that it's been tested at the highest level, what does that mean for you?
Well, I think maybe just to start would be to just paint a picture of how things are usually done. And usually when you in business, when you find a partner that can that can take your product overseas, that's a net benefit for you, because you are then getting this huge amounts of capital, and then the other person has to go off and they have to go and start this project all by themselves, and it's their storm to weather. But the difference with what we've tried to do here with Life Within is form an actual partnership, an actual friendship where we both benefit from it. And we are now doing things through you guys that we would have never had the opportunity to do. So the testing, for one, we knew that our stuff was great quality, and we have testing laboratories in South Africa that we can send things to, and we have been doing that. But the testing in Dubai is just on another level, and to get actual verification that our products have efficacy and they're safe and they are robust as well, they have shelf stability, to have all of this from such a well-recognized community as Dubai is just phenomenal, because it also improves our own standing here in South Africa. So partnering up with you guys has been just wonderful. And I can only see where we're going to go. The future is going to be incredible once we start to do more and we start to solidify mushrooms a little bit better in the UAE. The things that are going to come out of it, and then the downstream effects, like you said, is just going to be exceptional in terms of how much we can help, how much we can grow, how much we can do locally. So yeah, the partnership is just absolutely wonderful, and we're really appreciative because of it.
I'm absolutely in alignment with you. I'm really looking forward to obviously going further down the line and seeing what other products we can bring the UAE. But obviously focusing mainly on the functional mushrooms now, I think let's go talk to the alcohol-free solution. Knowing full well, obviously from my end, making sure that we had the alcohol-free solution for the majority of the UAE populace to be able to know that it's a safe product. It's a product that obviously has been tested and proven to make sure that there's absolutely no traces of alcohol. So for us, obviously from Life Within, it was incredibly important to make sure that the customer got a product which we could then confirm through lab testing that there was no alcohol on there. Obviously, we focused on that for individuals with certain beliefs, which were not allowed to have any alcohol in their products. That was number one. And then number two was focusing on individuals in the UAE that actually couldn't consume alcohol because of their sensitivity or alcohol intolerance. So, from our perspective, thank you for providing us with beautiful products. I'd like you to explain to the customer what it actually means for the glycerin solution that's been used instead of the typical ethanol-based solution.
Yeah, well, this is a completely new product that we're bringing to the market because of Life Within. This isn't a product that we currently sell. It's a product that we currently distribute. This is a Life Within product. You guys are the only people that have access to this, which is so wonderful. Because of your involvement, we've developed a new line that is fully safe. It doesn't have the same restrictions that other products would have. So the reason being, and the reason why we did it, was just so that we could have more customer base that could then try the mushrooms and can experience the benefits and feel the effects of mushrooms. So the glycerite, just to break it down a little bit, the extraction process is still very similar to our extraction process. We still go through the same extraction protocol in order to break apart the cell walls and pull out the medicinal compounds, the components that have efficacy, therapeutic efficacy. So we still go through that process, and everything in terms of the efficacy is still the same. The only difference is that we then apply a very specialized piece of equipment called a distillation unit to distill off the ethanol and make sure that we have absolutely nothing left in it. And it leaves us with a resin, a very strong concentrate that we then suspend in a glycerin solution so that it's safe. It doesn't have any alcohol, and it's easy to administer as well. And then a wonderful point is that it's also okay for diabetic people to utilize. It doesn't spike your glucose, and maybe you can chat a little bit about that, just about its benefits on that side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously making sure that you don't spike the blood sugar levels, obviously focusing on diabetics, making sure that, it's a safe product for all. I think that was, at the forefront of when we asked you, how can we replace the alcohol solution? And that was obviously one of our solutions and the one thing. And also to then, I think you can give us some comfort in knowing that the people that are tracking their calories and worried about consumption of sweet goods or goods that have sugars, I think from what our last discussions, you were saying that it's incredibly low in your caloric count. So if people wanted to take all five, it wouldn't be something that they would have to track.
Sure, sure. And yeah, that R&D process of figuring out how to make something accessible to more people is just the most fun thing ever. The fact that we got to experiment with Life Within to figure out the best solution was just great. And I'm sure when people try it, they're going to realize just how wonderful it tastes comparatively
Mhm.
to products on the market. And that's also an incentive just on its own.
That's for sure. I think the biggest thing was obviously trying the original ethanol-based solutions of competitors as well, all around the world. And yeah, it's some of them taste pretty funky. So you want to like mix it with your tea or your water just to like, you know, dampen that taste. But I think with our Life Within products, we've really got the perfect sweet point, being able to almost have like a nice caramel type flavor. I've never had any other functional mushrooms which have actually tasted better. So I'm very confident that everybody will love the product from a perspective of taste, the flavor. And what I quite enjoy is the fact that each of the products, even though they're in a glycerin solution, has a very distinct, very unique flavor based on the originating mushroom that it comes from. So, on that
Of
note,
course.
let's introduce functional mushrooms to the audience. I'd love to know what are functional mushrooms? How do they differ to normal culinary mushrooms? And yeah, it's open to you to explain the five that we have.
Wonderful. Well, mushrooms as a family are just so diverse. They, I'm sure that you know this. There are more fungi on this planet than all mammals and all plant life combined. There, it is extensive. Millions and millions and millions of different species populate this planet. Now, when we look at just two simple categories of gourmet edible mushrooms and functional medicinal mushrooms, those two categories can also be hugely diverse and they also overlap as well. The main difference being that the mushrooms that we eat have have nutrition and they have benefits in some part when consumed over a long portion of time. Whereas the functional or medicinal mushrooms, for the most part, aren't edible. They aren't the greatest tasting. They have very strong cell walls that are bound together by a compound called chitin. So it makes it quite difficult to eat, and our guts can't break them down. And then if you are able to get them in terms of eating, they'll just pass straight through the gut. They won't be assimilated by the body. So edible mushrooms, you can eat them. They taste amazing, and the benefits can be administered to the body over a long period of time. You can consume them, and you can get gastrointestinal benefits and lowering of blood pressure benefits. But the medicinal mushrooms need to be extracted. They need to be broken down and processed in order to get the compounds out. But when you do get them out, they shine so much brighter than uh, the the gourmet mushrooms. They are being researched for all sorts of ailments and maladies, and when you put them up against other things, nothing really comes close to them. They are phenomenal for upregulating overall health.
Thanks for explaining that. I think that's really important to obviously have explained the reason why we have our functional mushrooms in an extract, knowing that what we've got is the active components from the functional mushroom, which have been studied for many years. And also traditional Chinese medicines. They've been doing this for hundreds and thousands of years. We've got your ancient, the Nordics. We've got the people up in the Russian areas. You've got people all around the world, Siberia as
Yeah.
well. They have been consuming mushrooms as part of their daily diet, knowing full well the benefits. And so we, as the Western society and world, are now waking up to the benefits that all of these cultures have been consuming for many years. So I think this is really an important segue to then obviously talk about the benefits from each of the products. So, you've got now the active ingredients, which are
Mm.
being assimilated. We are now then taking the functional mushrooms under the tongue sublingually or putting it into our beverages, then obviously being consumed into the GI tract and obviously being absorbed into the body.
Hmm.
So the one thing I'd like to ask, I mean, if we just have to talk about turkey tail, for instance, the turkey tail that we are obviously providing from, Life Within,
Yeah.
the benefits that you would almost say that you've identified from you consuming turkey tail.
So turkey tail has a has a very important place in my heart. I love turkey tail. It's one of the first mushrooms that I ever discovered, and it's a very easy one to identify when you're walking the forests and find it. And pretty much once you know what to look for, there's not much that looks like it. And I remember quite often walking on a trail side and picking these mushrooms and storing them in my pocket so I could make a tea when I got home. And the things that I noticed from turkey tail was just that when consumed in conjunction with battling an illness like the flu or a viral ailment, it can dramatically improve the immune response, and that is what it's being studied for internationally. There's huge amounts of money being put into this mushroom to study its effects on upregulating macrophage activity and killer cell activity, so that we can better identify contaminants in the body and quicker. So turkey tail's main mode of action is immune related, and that's really where it shines. We've actually had some phenomenal testimonials about turkey tail. I wonder if it's cool if I share one, because it was quite a nice one. We actually had, sure. So we had a customer that she was really struggling with cancer, and she went through her chemotherapies, and eventually towards the end she just couldn't continue with her chemos, and this was because her white blood cell count was so low, and her doctor advised her not to. She couldn't do her chemos, and we put her onto a course of turkey tail, and we got her blood work back. Within 2 weeks her white blood cell count had tripled. So her white blood cell counts had just gone straight through the roof, and she was starting to fight off these contaminants that were in her body. So turkey tail, its efficacy for immune support is unmatched by anything else. It's really phenomenal, and you can find a lot of information online about that.
Thank you. It's a really beautiful story. And I think I'd also even segue into talking about somebody that we've recently sold a product to. I had a gentleman at the coffee store who happened to overhear that I was actually now promoting these functional mushrooms. And this guy just happened to say, my friend over there is actually really struggling with sleep. And he had obviously had been in quite a bad breakup, and things that happened. Life had gotten difficult, and he was incredibly, well, he was struggling with insomnia for the last 3 to 4 months. And I said, well, I have this product, Reishi, which is obviously organically sourced, farm-grown Reishis from your farm in the Eastern Cape there. And essentially, what surprised him was like, how would this single product help me? I said, I'd like you to give it a try. Within about a week and a half, he messaged me and he just said, I'm back into my sleep routines. I'm getting the best deep sleep ever. And I know from my personal experience, I used to wear a activity tracker, and it would actually track my sleep. And I noticed an almost immediate response within 1 to 2 days of continuously taking the reishi just before bedtime, that actually it helped me get that deeper sleep, that better quality sleep. And my metrics were definitely much, much better. Even if I was working incredibly late, working a long time in really strange time zones, just because Dubai is so central. So I think that's one thing that we've noted as well, that the reishi from Life Within is absolutely phenomenal from a quality perspective. So thank you for that. It's definitely
Wonderful.
helped me as well.
Well, maybe just to segue from there, because unfortunately, with non-contemporary medicine, with herbal medicine or mushroom medicine or whatever you want to call it, there's stigma has been attached to it that these things either take very long to become active and work within the body, or they don't. And unfortunately, this is a fallacy, and it's, I think, more a topic of concentration of active compounds within your extract. If we look at competition and we look at other people that are making things, the amount of mushroom or plant, whatever, that you put inside of your product is far less than what it should be if you take into account the studies conducted. So we're very adamant, and you were too, about making sure that we put lots of actual active compounds within the product so that you could see the benefit quite quickly. And reishi is case in point that it does have a quick acting effect. Turkey tail does, cordyceps does, all of these things do, because we put a lot in. And I think that's the difference. That's where Life Within is different to other products on the market.
Thank you for explaining that. That's very important because the most important thing is obviously explaining to customer how to consume it and essentially when to consume. And so I think that's also something we'd like to talk about now is how do you incorporate functional mushrooms into your daily life from waking up to putting your head onto the pillow at night and hopefully getting a good night's sleep.
Okay, so I would probably be the worst and the best person to talk to because I'm one of those people that just forgets to take their medicines. And if it's not easy, if it's not something that is easy to take and right there when I need it, I'm going to forget about it. And I think that a lot of people are like that. And we shouldn't discourage these people from taking their medicines. We should rather make it easier for them. So the easiest way that I've found that can work is in the morning, you take the things that increase, that stimulate, like cordyceps for energy, and turkey tail and chaga, and then you can add that into something that you're doing in the morning. There's an amazing book called Atomic Habits where the guy speaks about stacking habits, small habits. So if you wake up in the morning and you make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, most people have coffee in the morning, then you can take these products and you into your coffee, and it's so easy. It's already there. You're just stacking on top. You're putting some into your coffee. Same thing with nighttime. If you are brushing your teeth and you are there in your bathroom and you're about to take your other vitamins, you can just add these into a glass of water, or you can add it into your tea at night, or even your food. I've spoken to a lot of people that administer it into their food. If you've made food, you just drop some drops on top of the food. It's in your food
Mm,
and you can eat it down. The benefit
okay.
of that, we talked earlier about sublingual extraction. The On the flip side, gastrointestinal effects or breaking down of the compounds is just as good. We have a process, or we have a couple different cells in the long intestine called Peyer's patches. And when we consume these functional mushrooms, the compounds are small enough that they actually go to the Peyer's patches and pass through into the bloodstream, and then they're picked up by macrophages and taken where they need to. So you can still get the benefits. You can very easily get the benefits if the extract is small enough to pass through Peyer's patches. You can eat the product and it will get into your system.
And obviously, with the micronized extraction process, the active compounds have been, and the actual mushroom product and the extract has been broken down to such a fine micro level that that
Exactly.
essentially is what you are now talking about.
Exactly. So under your tongue, in your water, on your food, however you want to, you just need to get the product into your body. However you do that is fine by us.
Perfect. So I think we've spoken about now immunity through turkey tail. We spoke about early morning energy with cordyceps, your pre-gym workout as well. I generally enjoy that, before you're about to go do something active. Cordyceps under the tongue, cordyceps in maybe your either your coffee replacement or your coffee, whatever your morning kick is. And just essentially with energy and focus, we've spoken about cordyceps. Any other mushroom, that you've identified within the range that actually gives you that energy throughout the day and boosts the immunity at the same time?
Sure. So I think just to finish off on cordyceps, why it is important for that energy and why it's so unrivaled is because of a compound inside of it called adenosine. And when we ingest this adenosine, it gets converted to ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And for any gym people, I'm sure you've heard of the compound ATP. That's literally what our cells use as an energy source to function throughout the day. So cordyceps can increase ATP production in the body. That's just a wonderful one. But to segue into that, in terms of things for memory and focus, lion's mane would be phenomenal. You're familiar with lion's mane?
Yeah,
Lion's,
definitely. That's the one that I started with. But for the purpose of the podcast,
yeah,
you're gonna have
lion's
to
mane.
cut that bit. We
Chaga
can't
is
talk
also
about.
Chaga is absolutely wonderful. It's also a good all-rounder. Reishi, there's so many. The nice thing is that these do overlap somewhat. So Reishi for focus can also be beneficial. Chaga can be beneficial for that as well because of a compound called superoxide dismutase, which is an antioxidant that can help strip the body of oxidative stress. So for brain health, it can also be beneficial there. Yeah, there's quite a few. Which one would be your favorite? I mean, which one would you choose if you're going to be starting out the day? Mine would be cordyceps. I like cordyceps for that.
Mm.
Or would you?
For me, it's definitely cordyceps. That's my go-to in the morning. Then chaga as well. I'd say like maybe just after my coffee, just to get me going. And
Yeah.
then sometimes mighty mushrooms, I like to throw that in the mix around lunchtime because I know that that's kind of going to give me an overall immunity boost. It's going to keep me going. It's going to keep me looking young. That's the one
Yeah.
thing we got to try and do. I know the ladies are very, very much on that bandwagon, trying to obviously have mighty mushrooms to obviously boost, bring that vitality, keep your skin glowing, cell regeneration from within, which is fantastic.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say my most important one would be the turkey tail towards the end of the day. I quite enjoy the effect that it gives you, as well as stacking that with reishi.
Yeah.
So co-founder Jenna actually identified that reishi with turkey tail for her was phenomenal for her sleep, as well as just overall, feeling like she had a better rest and a deeper rest. So I think that that turkey tail is fantastic, that it works in your body overnight, actually providing that not only the deep rest state from reishi, but the turkey tail for cell rejuvenation, regeneration, which is essentially what's happening when you're sleeping anyway. You know,
Mhm.
the overall regeneration of cells.
The concept of the entourage effect is now a proven one. There's numerous studies that have shown that the efficacy can be boosted when combined, and these studies were shown on mushrooms that by combining two mushrooms together, you have a better effect than consuming them individually. They do heighten
Yeah.
each other,
Mhm.
and this is time and time again. So combining your mushrooms like we do in the Mighty Mushroom Blend, you can get some really effective benefits on a number of different systems in the body, and that's where I think mushrooms can shine. Is they have a really good synergistic effect.
Perfect. And I think this also then lends itself to the question of usage and dosage. I have a lot of people that ask when they start out, how do I start taking it? How often? Can I
Mhm.
stack? Can I have all five of them? And I
Yeah,
think for us, the most important thing I'd like to ask is usage and dosage in terms of the practical way in which you would recommend the people would consume them. And then obviously the continued use. I know you said you struggled to keep focus on taking them. How would you then
yeah,
recommend doing
yeah. I think so. What we do on our side is we have trained physicians and herbalists and clinical practitioners that are continuously advising us on how to administer and how much to take and how often to take. And that information now belongs to Life Within as well. So you guys will have that information for the clients or for the public that need it. But it comes down to a very individual approach, I think. You can give ballpark metrics on how much to take, and that's the way that we've designed the extracts is on a daily dose metric that the 10 drops that you'll be taking are the exact daily dose that you need, as outlined by most of the literature, the scientific literature, to garner the most amount of effects. So we've tried to cover as much as possible for as many people as possible. But sometimes people have chronic conditions that they're struggling with. Sometimes people need to take a little bit less because they are smaller individuals. And that's where it would come down to an individual approach. And we trust you guys soundly for that. And we also have the information should you guys need. But for the most part, the dosage on the bottle has been specifically designed to be what you need every single day.
Perfect. And I think also just a caveat is individuals that are uncertain should always, reach out to their physicians, their GPs, and to get that overall advice. And the good thing is that with the ingredients on the bottle, you'll be able to then provide, this is the active ingredient. Will it work for me or not? And then obviously then to be able to go ahead and get the overall approval. And I think that's very important for any supplement that's out there right now. And on that
Mm.
basis, I'd like to obviously just discuss in terms of any potential side effects or precautions that people should be aware of when having these mushroom or functional mushroom extracts.
Yeah. Again, we do have all of that documentation, and that is all accessible by Life Within as well, which is wonderful. But the great thing about medicinal mushrooms is the side effects are few and far between.
Mm,
Most of the research that we read shows very little adverse effects. And when there are adverse effects, they're actually seen. It's a very strange one, but they can actually be beneficial. For instance, if we take reishi, one of the only adverse effects that you see with reishi is that it's very good at dropping blood pressure. So for people that have high blood pressure that are on medication, we advise them to monitor their blood pressure very stringently, make sure that you don't drop too low. And as you're dropping down your blood pressure, you would then come off of your current blood pressure medication to balance it out. So the issue that you're facing is that it could probably be too good, where it will drop your blood pressure too much, for instance. There are some people that struggle with the oxalate content inside of the chugger. We've done our best to try and remove as many oxalates as possible in the chugger, but every now and again some get through, and that those oxalates can upset the gastrointestinal tract if you have too much of it. So there's issues like that, but they're minor and few between. And in our 7 years of operating, we have never had one ill effect that anyone has mentioned to us, and we work with physicians and with practitioners all around the country. So yeah, that's the best answer I can give you.
Thank you. It's really good to know, and really great to know that there's other experienced physicians that have backed you for the last 7 years, to know that the product that is on the shelf in the UAE is actually safe. It's backed by individuals. It's now obviously fully UAE lab tested, and the Dubai municipality has approved it as well for the consumption. So I think that's also something to just kind of nail down, and just to say that there are competitors out there. There are competitors that are essentially providing the very similar but not the same level of extract from overseas. However,
Yep.
those are not tested to the highest stringent standards that we have here in the UAE, as well as the fact that I think it's very important to know what you put into your body, what you consume. Do you know the source? Do you know the individuals, or at least the company, what they stand for? And so that is something that's quite important to us at Life Within, and knowing that we have the ability to put our stamp on the product and to be very proud and to say we've worked with the regulators, with the municipality, with the UAE labs that are certified, with the Dubai municipality. And that for us is our claim to fame, in knowing that we have the confidence and the ability to say these claims. So I think,
I
yeah,
think that's a big one, and I think just to touch in on that, because the way that you've gone about it isn't the way that you had to do it. You could have very easily gone about it in the easiest manner, but you wanted to make sure that the product that you were bringing in was fully safe, fully accepted, and would give customers and participants that try it the best possible effects. And you guys should be commended for that. I think that's really amazing. And because of that, people will trust Life Within, and they'll see that you've been transparent from the get-go, which is a good thing.
It's good to hear. Thanks so much. And it's really good to get that feedback as well, especially from my supplier and a good friend. So I think one thing I just wanted to obviously mention in terms of our products that we've been mentioning today, just a plug for Life Within. Obviously, just saying, the products we've been discussing, you were able to source it on, first of all, do your reading. We have a We Are Life Within Instagram handle, being able to go to wearelifewithin.com, the actual website, and then also to be able to discuss with us very easily on Instagram if you have any questions. And we're also open as well. We've got a actual chat with an email address that you can reach out to. So we are open for any discussions. If there are any points specifically that have been raised today in this chat, I would absolutely welcome anybody's feedback, any further questions. And I know that, Cullen, you would be open to being able to assist or connect after this podcast with providing people with maybe potentially even more pinpoint type advice for somebody that maybe has more concerns or more questions for you as a mycological expert.
I think what might be quite fun is if we participate in a joint Instagram live between the two companies. We set it up for 2 weeks or a month in advance, and people can join if they're interested, and we can actually take questions with people in the Instagram live about mycology. But one question that I do want to pose to you is the products and their availability at the moment. Are they open for sale? Can people purchase them? Or are they still going to take a little bit of time to get to shelves? Or what's the thinking around that?
So we're very proud to announce that we've obviously had our very first shipment that's landed just this week. We're actually ready to provide customers with that, so they're able to order on the website. or message us directly on Instagram for further potential information that they need. But yeah, we're ready to go. We've got our beautiful website up and running. It's very easy to purchase. We've made the process flow as easy as possible. We actually have other products as well, but today's specifically focusing on functional mushrooms. We're very proud of our collaboration with you, Cullen, as well as the rest of the founders from Aether Apothecary in South Africa. So yeah, good to go. We're ready to take your orders, and we are also able to offer the next day delivery, and we make sure that the products are delivered with a temperature controlled solution. And obviously, that's quite important in the UAE with the rising temperatures as we head towards summer in a couple of months. So you'll find your product will be delivered at the right temperature, making sure that the product is kept safe and that actually it's exactly the way it should be consumed and it's at the right temperature to make sure it increases its shelf life. So yeah,
Wonderful.
we're
Very
good to
cool.
go.
Awesome. I'm excited to see what happens with the UAE. I'd love to come up there sometime and actually see the interest up there in Dubai.
Thank you. And then just out of interest, this is where we segue away from the products and we talk about future exciting trends that you're seeing actually in the mushroom space from a functional mushroom perspective, as well as maybe even just a non-consuming mushroom space.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's so many trends and there's so many incredibly intelligent individuals in the mycological world, and I think that we could chat about this for an hour on its own right. But maybe some of the things that would be of interest that you can keep in the back of your mind is the additive business for food and beverage and cosmetics. There's so much movement there using mushrooms and plants in products as additives to increase their bioavailability and their efficacy for medicinal or therapeutic uses. There's food-based trends that are happening at the moment in terms of fungi. There are construction trends that are happening where you can use mycelium to build things. That is really incredible. Mushroom-based inks. There's so much. This topic on its own can just be so expansive, and I would love to have an individual chat just on that, because I think that Dubai is this untouched treasure trove in terms of technology development when it comes to fungi. You guys could really lead the race up there where you are, and I'd love to be a part of it. So maybe a separate discussion would be great.
Yeah, we'll definitely put that in the books once everything's up and running with the company and the orders. We're definitely going to be looking at other opportunities and other ventures in the UAE. That is definitely top of mind. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. In particular, the construction, that is incredibly interesting, especially for thermal control and also obviously providing a more sustainable solution to the construction industry. And then just out of interest now, from a perspective of my awakening into the mycological space and being able to understand what they can do for me, one thing I would love to actually share is a documentary that for me was the grand awakening. So kudos to the fantastic fungi or fungi. That documentary absolutely blew my mind. And that for me was my ultimate point at which I knew I wanted to work with mushrooms. And so, from that perspective, I think that was for me the turning point in my journey. I'd love to know what was your turning point in your journey where you knew that you wanted to work with the functional mushrooms.
I think that documentary was just incredible, and it definitely converted a lot of people. Just also opened their eyes to the world of mycology. I would segue and add something onto there as well for people that are interested in mushrooms. They should definitely check out Merlin Sheldrake's book, Entangled Life, and they just released a documentary about that, which I think will rival Fantastic Fungi. They both will be incredible documentaries for the understanding of the mycological world as a whole. But my journey into fungi was twofold. It was one, an experience that I had with mushrooms in my early 20s that changed my thinking and my understanding of the world and what I wanted to do in my place in the world. That was one, and that was an incredible journey that made me realize I had more to give to the world. And secondly, the thing probably that most solidified my mushroom interest was not eating mushrooms or making medicine out of mushrooms or reading about mushrooms, it was actually being in the forests every single day for a number of years, finding mushrooms and breaking them off of the trees and looking at them and inspecting them and understanding them. It was being in nature, crawling on my belly, on my hands and my
Mhm.
belly through forests, finding them and smelling them and learning about them. That was the thing that solidified it for me. So I don't know your how many fungi you get in Dubai. I'm sure that you get some desert loving species like Podaxis that we get here in Southern Africa.
Yeah.
But I would definitely encourage anyone, if you are ever in a foreign country that has a subtropical or tropical climate, to just get into nature and harvest some mushrooms and learn about them. It's really fulfilling. It takes you back to a very primal space where you feel very connected to.
No, I know that to be very true. When we ended up going in Cape Town, we went in the foraging mode there. That was fantastic, and being able to obviously breathe in nature, be connected to Mother Earth, and just be able to then see what's being provided by the mycelium network and how and what specific weather conditions brought about those mushrooms at that point in time. So I think that's actually very important to also mention that the mushrooms are quite a sneaky species. They are not just going to pop up where you expect them. They'll be in the least most expected places. So this is what makes them tricksters.
Elusive. Yeah. And it also makes it that much more exciting when you do find a specimen that you're looking for, because you know that it's made it a bit difficult to find it. It's made itself quite inconspicuous. And when you do find them, it's a treat for the senses to actually look at them and understand them a little bit more. Yeah. If anyone
And
is
I
ever
think
in
that's
South Africa, I'll just put this out. If anyone's in South Africa and you guys want to go for a forage, just pop us a message. I'll happily take you for a forage.
we'll have to do a Life Within and Cullen collaboration forage in the forests. Definitely wait for the right temperature, wait for it to drop just to the perfect temperature, and then we'll be able to go at the mushroom season. Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool, Justin.
And then
Thank you
just
so much.
in terms of, yeah, welcome. And then just one thing, in terms of beginners, people that are intrigued, they would like to start, what would you then give them an advice on in terms of, I want to start taking functional mushrooms. I just don't know which one would work for me and how can I go about doing that research?
Okay. I think if you're looking to just get into mushrooms and start out your journey, definitely the first thing that you want to do is you want to email Justin or Jenna at Live With It, get them
Yeah.
to talk to us and figure out what would be best for you in your lifestyle, because we're all very different. And to make a decision just on a whim on what you want to take, you could get the right thing, but it would be much better to get something specialized exactly for what you need. And Justin and Jenna are hugely intelligent. They've done the research, they put in the time, they understand mushrooms better than most people. So chat to them first. But if you are going to try something, I would definitely recommend to try my favorite mushroom, which is the one that changed my life, which is the reishi mushroom. I'm going to be
Mm.
very particular on which one I'm going to recommend, and it's going to be the reishi. I love reishi. I've got no excuse why. I think it might have something to do with the ancient history of reishi. It might have something to do with the fact that it was the first mushroom that I ever properly foraged. It might have something to do with the research doing here in South Africa with the local healers. It's reishi. I'm going to recommend reishi.
That for me would be number one as well, in terms of a lot of people are struggling to kind of calm their overactive minds. There's a lot of stimulation from light sources. Dubai or the UAE, very busy cities, always on. People are messaging to get work done till the last minute. So it's very difficult to kind of unplug from this digital
Yeah.
world. And so for me, Reishi was a game changer for me. It really changed things up. And it allowed me to also almost create a bit of a ritual at night, creating my
Mm,
chamomile tea, brewing that, and then having the reishi under the tongue before chamomile. And that for me was a
yeah.
massive, incredible stacker. And the
Yeah.
chamomile relaxed me naturally, calmed the brain down, turning the lights down. And then reishi for me just took it to another level. And that for me
Mm,
has been my go-to. So absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, like we've just spoken about how elusive some of these mushrooms are, knowing full well that a lot of people are providing these reishi or other mushrooms that are lab grown. With the
mhm.
reishi, we know we can back saying that these are grown in nature. locally sourced to the highest quality. And that for me stands out as a phenomenal product with incredibly high, naturally occurring active ingredients in the mushrooms.
Well, the reishi, just to add on to yours, is from untouched, pristine forests in the Eastern Cape. These forests are so far away from any cities, probably about 80 to 100 kilometers from the nearest city. These forests are untouched with pristine rivers that flow through them, and these mushrooms are exquisite and they're beautiful and they're highly, highly potent. So we know that they're good quality. And then the nice thing is that we get them checked as well. So we know for a fact we have a stamp of approval on them. But reishi, just the last thing on it, being an adaptogen, being a powerful adaptogen to help your body adapt to the stresses of life, that is a reason why I would recommend it. The stresses of life, physical or emotional or spiritual stress, whatever stress you're dealing with, low energy levels or low immunity or anxiety, that sort of stuff, it can help to balance out and provide a sense of stability. It's really good for that. It's a phenomenal adaptogen. So definitely I would recommend reishi.
Okay, well, that is known as one of the king of mushrooms, the immunity mushroom. We could go on for days talking about reishi, but I think the most important thing is just to let our customers know that, or future customers, that all of the information on each of the mushrooms is actually available on the website and our Instagram page, where we've gone into a little bit more in depth. But if there are any more detailed questions, I'm absolutely happy to assist. And then if there's any more mycological questions, we will be then passing that on to our friend Cullen, and he will gladly help us.
Happily. Very exciting.
Cool. Well, just some closing thoughts. I would just like to say, Cullen, anything for the audience that you'd like to say, to wrap this up? It's been a phenomenal chat. I think we've gone from the beginning of where you started to where you are now and our journey in 2024. Any closing thoughts from you?
Just a big wish for the Life Within team that you guys start to be seen as pioneers in this movement, because you've gotten in at a time where there is a lot of stigma around mushrooms and you're trying to sway that and change that. And because of that, you are going to be put into the annals of history as game changers. And that's wonderful that such great people, genuinely wonderful people, are involved in this movement. I'm very privileged to call you a friend. And to have a brother and a team involved in the movement that I feel so strongly about is just wonderful. So a big thank you to you guys for also trusting us to be your preferred partner when it comes to mushrooms.
Perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. As a team, I know for a fact that myself and Jenna are obviously, we put our stamp and our name behind the company, the brand, and then sourcing the products that we believe we are bringing to the UAE with good intention and are ethically sourced. And we know we can back the people, having seen the facility ourselves, having met the wonderful ladies that bottled, that do the extraction, from meeting the founders and connecting not just as individuals, but from an overall holistic perspective. So thank you to you and the team as well in South Africa. And we are proud to carry your products into the UAE and have it branded Life Within, and to create the life from within. I think that's the most important part that we want to actually give back to the customers, to understand that even if you're taking something, the whole point of the company Life Within is that life comes from within us. And that is essentially what we're providing, is the product, which essentially brings you closer to yourself and providing you with the ability to create further and increased energy and life coming from within. So
Lovely.
thank you, Cullen. It's been a phenomenal chat. Great time. And just wanted to say thank you again for your time, and we'll catch up on the next podcast.
Awesome. It was lovely. Thank you so much. And I hope the viewers enjoyed.
Thanks, Cullen. Have a great day.